Dean here with Escape to Gaming. Today I want to do a video that just discusses some of the strategies and tips for the new Mad Max game. I'm about 42 hours into it so far at only 22% completion rate, which tells you it's a pretty long game if you take your time and do the side quest. And even last night at 40 hours I discovered things that I didn't know, and I've been looking on the internet. There's a couple videos with a few tips here and there and things, but I wanted to put together a comprehensive list of things that I think would help the game. There's no strategy guide on the game, and there's little bits and pieces of information. And there were a few things I thought were glitched out in the game, but actually it's because I didn't know how to do them. So I'm going to share them here. They're in no particular order, but hopefully these will help you. If you're enjoying the game as much as I am, you want to get the most out of it. It's nice to know some of these things early on. It'll save you a lot of time and hassle in the long run. So one of the first things to do is level up as early as you can. And the way to do that, it makes it much easier. There are a couple strongholds I tried to take too early in the game, and I just kept, getting my ass handed to me over and over again. I couldn't figure out why, because I didn't level Max up enough. I never even invested anything in his attributes or what have you. So once I discovered you can go into the menu and you can upgrade Max or the car, there's a row of little sub-menus where you can level up Max's gloves. He's got better gloves so you can do more melee damage. He's got these wrist guards that give you better defense, a jacket that helps you as far as your health and things like that. And then there's various weapons and what have you. You want to upgrade those as early as you can. It makes a huge difference when you go into melee battle. You'll find it much easier to get through that. So that was a huge help for me. Then I went back and tried to take the same stronghold after I leveled up. It was much easier. Still challenging and tough, but it was much easier and not as frustrating. That's one of the first things I would do. And one of the other things I would do right off the bat, if you look under the little menu with Max, there's an area that says Tools. And go into Tools, and you want to immediately buy the crowbar as early as you can in the game. The crowbar will enable you to get through particular doors and crates that you couldn't open otherwise without it, and it makes a huge difference. There's some areas, like you can go through a camp, and to get 100% completion of those camps, you'll need that crowbar. So definitely, go after the crowbar, level up Max, and then you want to level up the magnum opus, your car, as well. So you go into the menu, and there'll be upgrades for the motor. You want to do the motor, make it faster. They have a thing where there's spikes you can add on the car later on. Some of these will slowly be unlocked over time, but take the time to level up so that you can increase the ability for the magnum opus to put out more damage, and also to help it to be able to withstand a lot of the damage that you get from random bandits out there on the road, or taking out a convoy too early and your car just isn't up to it. So I find that by going into the little sub-menus again with the cars, you'll see that there's a little icon for a sniper and the harpoon. You want to immediately upgrade those as soon as you can. Makes a huge difference when you can rip off doors during convoys or tires. Without those upgrades, it's going to be much harder to take those convoys down. These are things that I've learned kind of the hard way. There is a character that's called Griffa that you'll see, kind of a mysterious character. Every so often you'll get points usually for doing challenges in the game. So what you can do is you go into the menu and go under challenges, look under challenges, and you can see it usually shows the ones that you're closest to completing at the top, and then it works your way down to the ones that you're farthest away from. And you can do it either through car combat or melee combat or just in general. But go through those. You may see that you're only a couple points away. You eat so many cans of dog food, fight so many guys in a certain type of melee, what have you. If you complete those challenges, you get major points with the Griffa character, and you can upgrade your ability, your maximum health range you can upgrade. You want to do that right away. So under Griffa, definitely upgrade your ability, your maximum health you want to do right off, and the next best thing is your loot, the ability to loot more. Which is down near the bottom. So that way when you do find any scrap, you're going to find much more of it. Keep those upgraded constantly, and then your ammo as well. Make sure that you get maximum ammo every time you upgrade. There was water and food. Initially I thought those were important. I put a lot of points into those early on, but I found that The food is relatively easy to come by, and you can also step on rats and lizards for a quick meal, which is nice. You'll see them here and there on certain strongholds and rocks and bridges and what have you, and it makes a big difference to step on them. You can instantly get free food in that respect. So the water and the food are not quite as crucial to upgrade, but it would help along the way. After you get 5 or 6 things upgraded on one attribute, take the time to upgrade at least a few of those to keep them built up, because later on some of those will come in handy. The fuel also, you rarely run out of fuel. I mean, I've upgraded a couple notches, but later you'll need that though near the end of the game as you acquire this defensive weapon on your car that uses a lot of gasoline to put flames out on either side to keep people from jumping on your car or to create damage to cars next to you. So eventually you'll want to upgrade the fuel, but in the beginning it's not so much. So along the way, just slowly upgrade some of those things like the food and water, as well as the gasoline, because down the road a lot of those will definitely come in handy. But I put a lot of my attributes into the melee fighting right off the bat, upgraded his melee abilities to be able to stay in fury mode longer, things like that. Makes a huge difference. And then his Wasteland Legend thing also, I would take the time to upgrade that. The more you upgrade your ability, there's a Legend category. That's going to help you overall in the game substantially. The other thing that I'd like to say is that when you get the Jeet's Stronghold early in the game, and as well as the other ones, is to try to go through the area and do as much looting, all the little gear icons on the map as possible. The first couple days, I spent days just going through every single one of those gear icons and taking, sometimes it'd be a stronghold of several guys, sometimes it'd just be a couple. It might be a sniper nest with just a couple pieces to loot and that's it. But whatever it was, take the time to loot everything in sight. Even if you come across a random car and you take them out, rip a wheel off or whatever, finish the car off and you'll end up getting that scrap. It makes a big difference. Every bit of scrap is crucial. You want to get as much as possible. So when you upgrade your strongholds by finding these special stronghold projects, and if you start building those projects, every time you go back to your hideout, you'll instantly get refilled with health or water. You'll get an ammo also refilled, lots of things like that. And there's even an ability to where you can put together, I think it's a survey table or what have you, where your people at your stronghold, as it gets bigger and bigger, the more projects you complete, your stronghold gathers more people, and then they have the ability to send road crews out and gather scrap for you. Because I was kind of confused the last couple nights on hitting convoys and taking out cars, and I'd run out of the car real quick to pick up the scrap, and I couldn't understand why the little gear icons were vanishing within a few seconds. Then I noticed on the side it says that your road crews have picked up the scrap for you, which is really cool. So that's why you want to invest and take the time to slow down and try to do as many of the side missions as possible. Check out all those little gear icons. I literally last night, I've taken every single one on the map with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 out, because it's helped big time. Now I have upgraded my stronghold. The instant the scrap automatically gets deposited. There's even one category where when the game is offline, it collects scraps. You turn the game on and now all of a sudden you get over 1,000 points of scrap. It's really awesome. So do that. The other thing is with the storms. You'll come across these epic storms. At first I'm like, oh God, not another storm. I just could barely survive them. Usually you'll find shelter, but now I actually take the time to look through the storm, and you'll see these little gear icons kind of tumbling through the map on the HUD. And if you could take the time to drive after those, and then use your harpoon and harpoon one of those crates, you can keep that crate with you during the storm. Sometimes you'll wait till the storm subsides. Sometimes you can get out during the storm and then break open the crate, and then you'll get, instead of just getting 5 or 6 or 15 pieces of scrap, you'll get 100 at a time. 100 here and then another 100. And so it's a way to quickly get tremendous amounts of scrap. It helps a lot. So that's a lot of fun with those storms. I do enjoy the graphics are incredible with this game, and the storm effects are just over the top. So it's great to, if you're going to go through all that trouble to survive the storms, at least get something out of it. So, also, I noticed that just last night that Chum Bucket in the back of your car, I was driving through an area and he goes, hey, watch out, that's a boom boom area. I didn't know what he meant. Well, what he's talking about is that once he says that, you drive by it, all of a sudden on the map, you'll see a little minefield logo will appear, which I never had noticed before. Then you can go back to your hideout when you right before you get into the car at your Jeet stronghold or any of the other strongholds. You can click the change vehicle icon, go into your list of vehicles, go down to Chum's buggy, choose that, and now you have the buggy with the dog. I didn't even know how to use that, the dog ability. I couldn't figure it out for the longest time, and then finally I saw a little icon. So a lot of these things there's a nice array of tutorials that you can go through and read about them that are built into the menu in the game, and it helps, but even those can be kind of vague at times. So a lot of this was just trial and error. It's like, God, I wish I had known this stuff early on. So once Chum helps you find, because you take you take his buggy out with the dog, and you just have a tremendous amount of difficulty because you have no, defensive weapons. There's no nitrous. If you come across bandits, you're really screwed. But if you choose your own card, Magnum Opus, and let Chum Bucket find and notify you when you see a minefield, then it's always on the map. Then you can go back with the buggy and the dog, go straight there, and then disable a minefield. Sometimes the people will chase you in the minefield, and you just kind of line them up, put the mine between you and them, they'll run straight past the mine, and it blow up. It's really over the top. It's very epic and fun. So, and the other thing you can do too, whether you're using the buggy or the car or anything else, is that you don't always have to follow the roads. At first I was just following the roads everywhere, but I found that I would go and find less patrols if I just went as the crow flies and kind of went over the countryside straight to a target and try to stay off the roads as much as possible, especially at night where these buzzard gangs come after you with these overly spiky cars, which I didn't know as well. So at nighttime you want to be careful on the roads. These spiked vehicles from these buzzards, they're called, they do a lot of damage to your Magnum Opus, and it's a real problem to deal with them. So sometimes kind of driving as a crow flies straight from one destination, just find your little, and what you use your navigation thing on the map, and I constantly will click on there and put whatever I want my waypoint to be, and it just makes it much easier. Usually you'll have a green highlighted area on the map as to where to drive, or you can just kind of line up the little target icon and then drive straight towards it. So these are, helpful hints along the way that I wanted to talk about. The other thing you want to do too is keep, and other people have said this as well, but keep one of the tanks of gas in the back of the Magnum Opus. It's not so much that you'll run out of gas, but sometimes you'll get to an area, and just to get into the hideout or even a hot air balloon, you have to use a gas can to blow open a door. And if you always have a can of gas with you, you can use it for that, or you can use it to fill up a hot air balloon or a winch to be able to remove it and take it down. Now, I noticed for the 40 hours of the initial gameplay that there were 2 hot air balloons on the entire bottom half of the map that for some reason I couldn't find a prompt to refill the compressors. I get up to it, it says it's out of fuel, so I'd go stand next to the little compressor with the funnel thinking, okay, that's where we refuel it. And if you hit one of the buttons, you'll actually explode. It ignites the gas can instead of it prompting to refill it. It would blow up and I'd die or whatever. So it was very frustrating. I thought that there was a glitch in the game. I said, well, God, maybe the game's broken. So I looked online, and other people had the same problem. What I didn't realize is that not only is there a way to fill up the compressor, but on the basket of the hot air balloon itself, there's a gas tank, which I didn't know. And if you stand directly in front of that, all of a sudden now you'll see a prompt to refuel, especially if you have a gas can in your hand. And then you refuel the balloon, and now you're able to hit the triangle button on the PS4, I'm not sure what it is on the Xbox One, and now you can take the balloon up. So these are, helpful hints that, God, I wish I had known early on. So there were 2 sections of the map that I couldn't even go through and find all the locations initially because I thought the balloons were broken. I didn't realize that there's different ways to fill them up. Sometimes you fill the compressor up to bring the winch up or down. Sometimes you have cables that you have to shoot which are anchored the balloon down. So each one is different. Some balloons are, you can get there's really no one guarding them. Other ones, there's like a bunch of enemies you'll have to fight, or doors you'll have to blow open just to get to them, which can be problematic. So now, sometimes you'll see things. I've noticed that I didn't realize this, but if you click on the L3 button, your left thumbstick button, at least on the PS4 controller, all of a sudden there'll be a menu. If you're in any little stronghold or looting area, there'll be a little sub-menu will come up with all your objectives and tells you that you found 2 out of 3 scraps, that there's one hidden relic, historic relic that you haven't found yet, or whatever, or if there's the Scrotus insignias that you haven't taken down, maybe there's 3 out of 4 of those you've got, and it lets you know oh God, there's another one, I gotta look a little bit longer for it. So if you want to 100% complete each of these little hangouts and destinations in the map, it really helps to have that. And so it was a huge help. I mean, once I understood that made a huge difference. Now, another thing, while you're driving your Magnum Opus, I've noticed that sometimes it's tricky to aim. I would try to hold the left front bumper button down to try to cycle through to aim at the different parts. At the time I'm trying to figure out which one to go after and cycle through them all, I'm already getting my ass kicked. I didn't know that if you just quickly hit the circle button, there's a quick fire option, and Chum automatically, if he has the harpoon or if you have the shotguns. You have to be careful on your lower right side of the HUD that you have either, make sure you have the harpoon icon is on there, or the shotgun. Because sometimes I'll waste shotgun shells. I think I have a harpoon, but I don't take the time to look at the HUD, and I'll end up shooting a shot unnecessarily where I really meant to fire the harpoon. So if that's set correctly, and just hit the quick fire button, usually the circle button on the PS4, I noticed that Chum will immediately just quickly target the immediate target, and quite often his judgment is quite good. So now that's like my new thing that I do. In fact, I did a wonderful first-person play last night, and it just made it real easy. I could just quickly hit that, and I didn't have to worry about it with the fire and forget. He'd go right after the car that's the biggest threat, rip a wheel off it, or or you can take the time to go through and then cycle through and find a gas can that's exposed in the car, quickly load up your shotgun, and just shoot it with a shotgun, which is pretty epic. That was a huge help. Let's see what else you've got. So you've got pretty much all that. The only thing that I've kind of stuck with initially when I would see sniper nests, I'd stop the car, hit the triangle button, get out of the car, run to the back of the car, hit the triangle button again to enter the back of the car and use a sniper rifle. And quite often I get shot getting out of the car and running to the back. I didn't realize that if you push down on the D-pad, he automatically changes places with Chum Bucket, which I didn't realize, so which is nice. So he quickly goes to the inside of the car, pops up with a sniper rifle. Chum is still driving, so you can actually line up a shot, and if that doesn't work for you, you can drive the car a little bit further while Chum is driving and still have your scope and rifle ready. It makes it really easy to find quick targets and to target those guys real fast for snipers, which you want to get immediately. And the war criers too. I take the time to try to snipe them if possible. Sometimes I'll have to drive halfway around an encampment way off from the distance and keep going until I spot the war crier logo. And then all of a sudden you'll see him between a couple crates or containers, what have you. You see him. If you snipe him early, then he can't cry out and get the guys all buffed up to where they're really hard to take down during melee, which is pretty helpful. Now, I was at a camp last night. The final thing, which was quite helpful. This no one else that I know has pointed this out. This is something I discovered by accident. So I was at a camp and I went through and kept hitting L3, and it said that I had one more Scrotus insignia to find, and I looked everywhere for them. I could not find the last one, and it said I had 2 more crates to loot. And I'm like, well, God, where the hell are they? I've been through this camp like 10 times now. I kept going up and down, going through every corner. So what I did is I went into the main menu, go down to your photo capture mode, click on that, and you can pan the camera way back and rotate it around Max's position and actually see all the way around the camp. And all of a sudden I went to another side of the camp. I didn't know there was an isolated little section with a crow's nest and part of a ship, and you could see right in there perfectly. And so, well, there's a door, there is the insignia right there, and there is the extra 2 crates. It was a fantastic way to quickly see and kind of survey the whole camp. You can pan way out, you can pan all the way around the camp, check it out, zoom in. It's really cool. Sometimes you have to move Max a little bit closer around different areas to stay there, because it goes out to a radius of so far, and then it'll pan back in. But it really is helpful. So I hope these tips help you out. these are the things that I've just learned early on in the game. I wish I had, had seen something along the way to help me out 40 hours into it, and I'm just realizing many of these things. So thanks for watching, and enjoy this game and enjoy your other games as well. Thanks.